I received a phone call from my mom and dad on February 29th, 2012, around 3 p.m. As usual, they had me on speakerphone so I could hear both of their voices. Dad said, "I knew I'd be in trouble if I didn't tell you where we are, so I'm calling to let you know that we are at the St. Peter's ER because your mother has a bad chest cold." "You're absolutely right," I agreed. "You would be in trouble if I had found out that you and Mom had gone to the hospital and hadn't told me." The three of us joked that Mom was a hypochondriac going to the hospital for only a cold. "I'll see you for dinner after work," I assured Dad. At 6 p.m., another call came in, this time to my desk phone. I quickly answered after recognizing my dad's cell phone number on the caller ID. "Hello?" Silence. "Dad?" Suddenly, I felt uneasy. "Dad?" I asked more forcefully. There was more silence. I rose from my chair, fear beginning to seep in. "Dad!" I nearly screamed into the phone. "Dad, tell me! What is it?" It was then that Dad began weeping uncontrollably. My dad crying? Something had to be terribly wrong. My dad is approximately 6'3" and weighs 325 pounds. The number of times I've seen him cry in my 36 years can probably be counted on one hand. I knew that whatever this was about must be serious. I spoke calmly and slowly. "Dad, what's wrong?" I could understand only 2 words: hospital and immediately. Instantly, I understood that my dad didn't want to give me any bad news on the phone, knowing I would need to drive to the hospital alone. But I insisted he tell me why he was crying. I refused to hang up the phone without any indication of whether something was wrong with Mom. Reluctantly, still crying, my dad used words like breast cancer cells, lungs, metastatic, spreading, stage 4. I pulled up Dr. Google on my desktop to get an understanding of what my dad was attempting to tell me. I realized that even Dad, who was incomprehensible at this time, didn't really know what he was saying. As he sobbed, I typed the keywords he was using into my search engine and read the following words from my screen. Life expectancy, 11 months, max. Liliana Mañana, a coworker at the time, was miraculously still at the office that night. Usually, after hours, I was alone in the office, getting a jump start on the next day. I believe it was God who brought about this unusual coincidence. Typically, Liliana left the office on time every day, but this evening she was still there. Liliana could hear how I fought back tears, attempting to speak calmly to my dad. She ran across the hall to my office, came around my desk, and saw the words Dad had used to describe Mom's diagnosis. Together, we read the terrifying words characterizing my mother's condition, and suddenly she felt the depth of my pain. Though Liliana would not characterize herself as deeply spiritual, she was able to empathize with me, knowing me well enough to understand what I needed at that moment. When I got off the phone, Liliana spoke only 7 words. "Do you want to pray right now?" "Yes," I responded, struggling with feelings of defeat and helplessness. Right there behind my desk, we got on our knees, joined hands, and prayed for strength and healing. At that moment, Liliana was standing in the gap for me. Right then, Lily actually knew me better than I knew myself. God used her to remind me of Him, that He is all-powerful and all-knowing. That reminder ensured that we prayed before I did anything else or called anyone else. Although I was not sure about Liliana's experience with God, it became evident that she knew there was a God who had everything under control. She knew God could heal and could turn the situation around with His power. It was at that moment that I knew I was not alone. Even though she didn't verbalize it, Liliana communicated, "God's got this, so let's really allow Him to take care of it."